Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I am absolutely pumped to jump into today's topic because honestly, we are going to completely transform your approach to Mahjong. If you've ever sat at a table feeling like you're just at the mercy of the tiles, just waiting for the Mahjong gods to bless you with a good draw, well, you're gonna love this. Today, we're shifting your mindset from pure luck right over to strategic skill. We're gonna break down the true science of the game.
So, why are you still losing at Mahjong? Man, it's incredibly frustrating, right? You build what looks like a beautiful hand, and then out of nowhere, an opponent declares Mahjong. Or worse, you deal right into their winning hand. It feels like chance. It feels like they just got luckier than you. But here is the empowering truth. Consistent winners aren't just lucky. They are actively avoiding a specific set of pitfalls that almost every novice falls into.
Here is our roadmap for today. First up, the beginner's Mahjong trap. Then we'll hit our three biggest mistakes: premature commitment, calling too early, and ignoring the table. And finally, fixing your game.
Section 1. The Beginner's Mahjong Trap. Okay, let's dive into this. Before we even touch a single tile, we absolutely need to address a core mental block that just plagues novices across the board, whether you're playing American Mahjong, Japanese Riichi, or traditional Chinese rules. It's this fundamental misunderstanding of what the game actually is. Mahjong is a game of narrowing options, not locking in decisions. Think of your game like a giant funnel. The initial deal gives you your raw material way up at the wide top of the funnel. Early tile exchanges or draws, those are really meant to gather information and just kind of refine your direction. Every single decision you make should deliberately close that funnel step by step. The trap here is that beginners try to skip the funnel entirely and just jump straight to the bottom.
Section 2, Mistake 1, Premature Commitment. Which brings us to our first major mistake: premature commitment. So the beginner mindset scans their tiles, spots one specific hand they like, and aggressively, ruthlessly, discards absolutely anything else that doesn't perfectly fit that single goal. But the expert mindset? An expert evaluates categories of tiles. They keep 2, maybe 3 flexible hand options alive. By committing way too early, beginners often find themselves stuck with a dead hand, meaning the tiles they desperately need have actually already been discarded by others, making it literally impossible to win. Yet they stubbornly ride that dead hand to the bitter end anyway. Right, so how do we fix the opening? Here is exactly what you should be looking for during the deal to build a really flexible foundation. First, look for your matching pairs or triplets. These are basically the backbone of most hands. Next, identify connected sequences, like a 4-5-6 in the exact same suit. Then, check if you have a heavy concentration of just one suit. And finally, please avoid emotional attachment to isolated winds or dragons. A single east wind tile might look cool, but if it doesn't fit an overarching pattern, it's just taking up valuable real estate in your rack. And, the sheer math of probability tells us that not all tiles are created equal. Your middle numbers, like a 3 through 7, give you the highest flexibility for combinations. A 5 can be part of a 3-4-5, 4-5-6, or even a 5-6-7. But look at the terminal numbers, those 1s and 9s. A 1 can only ever be part of a 1-2-3 sequence. And those isolated honor tiles, the winds and dragons, they literally have the lowest combination potential because they can only be used to form triplets or pairs of themselves. Statistically speaking, keeping middle numbers early on gives you a massive mathematical advantage. Section 3, Mistake 2, Calling too early. And this brilliantly illustrates the second trap. The moment a matching tile hits the table, the adrenaline spikes and the temptation to shout chi or pawn is completely overwhelming. But doing so without a real plan leads to no yaku, which is just a completely dead hand. Depending on the rule set you play, especially in Japanese Riichi or Chinese official rules, just making 4 sets and a pair isn't always enough to win. You need a specific scoring pattern, a yaku or fan. If you open your hand by calling a tile from an opponent, you instantly invalidate a ton of the easiest scoring patterns that require your hand to be fully concealed. You've progressed your hand visually, sure, but you've legally locked yourself out of winning. To avoid this totally disastrous scenario, just follow a logical progression. Step 1. Keep your hand closed, that's known as minzen chin, for as long as possible. This retains your maximum scoring value and your flexibility. Step 2. Build those simple internal sequences by drawing from the wall yourself. And step 3. Only ever call a discarded tile if it absolutely guarantees a valid scoring condition. For example, if your hand consists entirely of numbers 2 through 8, calling a tile keeps your all simples condition alive. Or if you have a pair of dragons, calling the third guarantees a yaku high score.
Bottom line, if it doesn't guarantee a win condition, keep your mouth shut and just draw from the wall.
Section 4, Mistake 3, Ignoring the table. Every discard carries risk. Seriously, beginners get so deeply focused on staring at their own rack that they just forget Mahjong is a multiplayer game. Here is a golden rule to live by. Every discard carries significant risk. Once you hit that mid to late game, every single tile you throw away could be the exact tile your opponent needs to declare Mahjong. A single deal-in to a high-scoring opponent can completely wipe out your points and just ruin your night. You have to stop looking just at your own hand and start reading the board.
To actually survive, you need a map. And experts use these advanced defensive concepts daily as their secret weapon. First up is Genbutsu, and this is 100% safe. If an opponent has already discarded a 4-dot, throwing your own 4-dot is perfectly safe against them because they cannot legally win off a tile they've already thrown. Next is Suji, which is basically a math-based safety relying on sequence patterns like 1-4-7. If an opponent discards a 5, the 2 and 8 become statistically safer to throw. And finally, Kabe, or the wall. If you can see that all 4 5-pins are already visible on the table, then nobody can possibly use a 5-pin to complete a sequence, making adjacent tiles like the 6-pin way safer to discard. Experts use these discard pools as a literal map to navigate the late game. But okay, when exactly should you start using this map? You must shift to defense and prioritize safe tiles over building your own hand when you see these specific warning signs. If an opponent declares Richi, meaning they are explicitly one tile away from winning, defend. If a player has 3 exposed sets on the table, they are incredibly close. Defend. If someone suddenly starts dumping highly valuable honor tiles late in the game, it usually means their hand has fully taken shape. Defend. And of course, if the wall of tiles is getting short. Get this, professional players will completely fold and abandon their own winning hand up to 30% of the time just to avoid dealing into an opponent.
Section 5, Fixing Your Game. So, how do we take all of this and actually apply it to your very next Mahjong night? Here are your strategic pillars, the actionable takeaways that are going to transform you from a gambler into a true tactician. Number 1, play like a funnel. Hold on to multiple options, prioritize middle numbers for flexibility, and only pivot when the game dictates it. Number 2, keep your hand closed. Do not jump at the first chance to call a tile unless you have a guaranteed scoring pattern locked in. Number 3, your eyes should be on the table just as much as your rack. Track the discard pool and expose sets. They are literally giving you the answers to the test. And finally, know when to fold. In Mahjong, effectively defending and not losing points is truly just as valuable as winning the hand yourself. I really want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Next time you play, before you confidently throw that tile into the center of the table, ask yourself, will my next discard cost me the game? By holding your options open, keeping your hand concealed, and defensively reading the table, you ensure that the answer to that question is a confident no. Take these tools, apply them to your next match, and watch how quickly the game shifts from feeling like random luck to a deeply satisfying game of skill. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.